Welcome to All Car Review channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Rolls-Royce is one of those few brands that has become so iconic over the past century and change, that to say an item is the Rolls-Royce of is to say it is the best in its class. So, then, is the $325,000 Cullinan truly the Rolls-Royce of SUVs? After a day spent on an off-road in this 6,000-pound brute of a roller, it's certainly looking like a contender. Few brands would have the confidence to give something as pedestrian as a vehicle chassis a name like the architecture of luxury, but then this is Rolls-Royce and being evocative is what it's all about. Indeed, that's what the company calls the foundation of its latest sedan, last year's Phantom VIII, and it's those same underpinnings that sit between the Cullinan's upright body and the ground. And you can easily see that family lineage. From a styling standpoint, Cullinan looks very much like a vertically elongated Phantom, at least in passing. Look closer, though, and you'll see the new creases, lines and cues connecting that imposing and now even taller front visage to the distinctive and wholly new rear end. Indeed, it's the shape of the hatch at the back that's most controversial from a styling standpoint, slotting in somewhere between the pseudo-coupe trend we're seeing from many recent, luxury-minded SUVs and the full-fledged, square rear end that adorns your average big-box utility machine. Taken as a whole, the Cullinan fits very well into the current Rolls-Royce aesthetic, but perhaps lacks the innate beauty of some of the company's finer machines. That's no matter to me, as a somewhat utilitarian visage on a sport utility vehicle isn't a turn-off. Certainly, it's safe to say this is the most practical Rolls-Royce ever. The cargo space of 21 cubic feet behind the rear seats is perhaps a little limited given the size of the thing, but you can configure the car with a folding bench rear seat if you like. Once folded, maximum capacity is 68 cubic feet. Those are power folding seats, of course, with buttons hidden in the suicide rear doors and on the sides of the rear cargo compartment. Those seats don't flop down or grow noisily back into place. They slowly, gracefully pivot and tuck themselves away, and there's even an integrated ramp in the rear cargo bay that rises into place, covering the unsightly gap between the floor and the back of the rear seats. The more comfortable, if less practical, option will be the traditional configuration of separate, adjustable seats in the rear, which are spacious and pleasant, heated and cooled, and so very, very comfortable that I'm starting to get drowsy just thinking about them. Wooden picnic shelves integrated into the front seat backs extend at the push of a button, revealing touchscreens to access the infotainment system, including full control of media, navigation and climate. The rear seats, then, are just as good as you'd expect on a Phantom, but, as CEO Torsten Müller-Ötvös told me, 80% of Rolls-Royce owners drive themselves, and indeed Cullinan is intended to be a machine for driving, not just being driven in. The Cullinan starts at $325,000 in the US, but when you're buying a machine like this, the sky is truly the limit, unless you actually are into drone racing, at which point you'll have to define some new set of awesome limits for yourself. That's an awful lot of money regardless of your hobbies and professions, but in this segment the concept of value is hard to define, so Cullinan must be judged on its own merits. And those merits are strong. Cullinan delivers all the same poise and composure you expect from Rolls-Royce, now with much more usability and, dare I say it, practicality. This could reasonably be the one car that could take you modding in the afternoon and then to the Met Gala that same evening, just make sure you swing through a car wash along the way. Back on asphalt, it was time to really see how the Cullinan performed in what would be its typical playground, and from here the big SUV continued its effortless performance. Most of the roads we crossed in the Jackson Hole, Wyoming area were in very good shape, but neither straight potholes nor cattle carts could fluster to the right quality. Rolls-Royce calls it magic carpet, and that's not hyperbole. Part of that comfort is thanks to another evocative bit of branding, the so-called flag bearer system that relies on stereoscopic cameras to read the character of the road surface, adjusting the active suspension every few milliseconds. Cullinan also borrows parent company BMW's trick of using GPS data to help ensure the ride is always ready for the road ahead. But that isn't to say you are completely isolated or, indeed, bored when sitting behind the wheel. The steering is slow and light, but there is some feel here, and the brakes are progressive and solid. Drew Stern from our UK team has spent more than his fair share of time rolling in various rollers, and he too is impressed by the car's sense of engagement. Most engaging, however, is that motor. With 563 horses on tap, step out on the accelerator and the Cullinan launches forward in a way that will put a big smile on your face. The 8-speed automatic, meanwhile, is completely invisible in its operation, offering the kind of smoothness and consistency most CVTs dream of. Meanwhile, most EVs would be jealous of just how serene the Cullinan is. It took a whopping 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, of sound deadening material to make it so worth it.